Okay, so this first one, what'd you come up with? 83, good. Number 2? Positive 60. Number 3? Negative 50. And number 4? Negative 3, okay. Okay.
I wasn't paying attention to the parentheses. I was like, it's just minus.
Oh, gotcha. You're subtracting instead of multiplying?
Yeah.
Sure.
Hey, I got a question about
Yeah.
the test. Is it paper or is it on math?
The test is all paper and pencil.
Okay.
And that's something I wanted to bring up. Technically, the test is scheduled for Thursday this week. So generally what I do is I will finish up all the new material today in class, give a new homework assignment. There's a new quiz due tomorrow. Then Wednesday is generally a review day. We go over stuff for the test. If there is anybody who thinks they're going to need extra time for the test and wants to be able to start it on Wednesday so they can finish on Thursday, let me know. But I do prefer to do the review day just to get you, especially so you know what to expect. I mean, this first one especially came up kind of quick with only a little over 2 weeks worth of material. But yeah, technically it is scheduled for the 9th. Okay, so what we want to do today is we want to look at these integers and kind of wrap them up with everything we've done. For example, we've had equations, but now maybe we'll have something like this. Negative 9x equals 45. What do I have to do to solve that equation? Divide by negative 9. So all that's left here is x. What's 45 divided by negative 9? Negative 5. Good. Or we might have negative 12 plus y equals 3. What do we have to do there? It's a negative 12, so we can either add 12 or subtract a negative 12. We're going to just add 12 to get that y equals 15. Or we might have negative 11 equals negative 7 plus z. What do we have to do there? Add 7. Leaves it with just z. Negative 11 plus 7. Negative 4. We might have x plus 8 equals negative 9. What are we going to do there? Subtract 8. So x equals very good. Negative 9 minus 8 would turn into negative 9 plus a negative 8. So yes, that is a negative 17. So what if we step it up? What do you do with something like this? We're going to add 7 first. So negative 5x equals negative 10. Very good. Divide by negative 5. So x equals 2. Try this one in your notes. See what you come up with. So where do we start? Add 9 to both sides. Very good. Negative 3x equals negative 12. And then divide by negative 3. X equals 4. Good. Give that one a shot quick in your notes. So where do we start? Subtract 7. What do we get? Negative 8x equals 32. Good. And then divide by negative 8. We get perfect. X equals negative 4. And of course, as always, you can test those numbers back in for x and make sure that both sides come out to the same thing. We might have something like this. What do we have to do here? Combine the like terms. We've got two x's on the same side of the equation. We can combine them. 3x, and we got to treat that as a negative 7x because the operation goes with the number that comes after it. So 3x and negative 7x make negative 4x. Still got the minus 7 equals 17. And then plus 7. So negative 4x equals 24. And then divide by negative 4. So x equals negative 6. Any questions? Looking at this one, the variable appears twice again, but it's on opposite sides of the equal sign, so we cannot just combine them. What do we have to do? Get rid of the smaller one, which is going to be the negative 5. How do we get rid of negative 5x? Add 5x. It's gone. What do we do over here? Add 5x to the negative 3x. So we're going to get what over on this side? 2x minus 4 equals negative 12. And then plus 4, which will give us 2x equals negative 8. Good. Divided by 2. X equals negative 4. Now I'm going to go up and double check this one. So I've got negative 3 times x is going to become negative 3 times negative 4. If I have a negative value for x, when I go to put it back in, I usually put it in parentheses, just so that I know it's not being subtracted, it's being multiplied. So this is negative 5 times x, negative 5 times negative 4, minus 12. So now I can deal with the left side first. I can do all this first, then I'll come back to the right. What do I have to do first there? Multiply negative 3 times negative 4, positive 12. Minus 4 is 8. Over here, what do I have to do first? Negative 5 times negative 4 is 20, minus 12 is 8. So I do get the same number on both sides. Let's try something like this. So where do we start? Okay, yes, we do. We start out parentheses. We go left to right. Here's the first one we find. So we have to find its other end, which is way down there. But inside the blue box, we still have to do order of operations. We see other parentheses. So we find this one, and its other end is right there. Now, as you said, within there, we have to do the exponent, the square root first, which is 5. Square root of 25 is 5. So I replace the square root of 25 with 5, and nothing else changes here. What's next? Yep, we're still inside that set of parentheses, inside the brown box. And we have to multiply. 3 times 5. Which is what? 15. Good. What's next? 15 divided by 5, which is 3. And then the addition. 7 plus 3 is 10. Now we're down to a single number, so I'm going to take out the parentheses. Do I have to put in any multiplication? No, there's operations on both sides of the parentheses already. So there's no need to put any operations in when I remove the parentheses. So now I'm back out to that larger parentheses again. This one. Still doing my order of operations. I see there's another enclosing symbol. This set of parentheses has to happen next. Inside there, what happens first? 4 times 3, which is 12. What's next? 9 minus 12, which is negative 3. Now what's in that parentheses is down to a single number, just the negative 3. Normally I'd leave the parentheses there just to kind of separate that negative 3 because it is a negative. But there's something I have to do here now. It's got an exponent. Now technically I have to go back out to this larger parentheses because I am done inside this parentheses. I'm down to a single number. But in that larger parentheses, in that red box there, the exponent is the next level priority. So negative 3 squared is 9. Be careful, your calculator might try to tell you that that is a -9. It is not. It is positive. Remember, on your calculator, when you put in a negative to a power, you have to put it in parentheses to make it come out right. So now what? Some big parentheses. And we need to do all addition and subtraction, so we're going to left to right. 5 minus 10 is -5. What's next? -5 plus 9 is 4. 4 plus 1 is 5. Now again, that parentheses is down to a single number. It's a +5, so I don't need the parentheses anymore. This time I do have to remember to put in what? Multiplication. Now what? Multiply 3 times 5 is 15, and 9 minus 15, -6. Good. Now if you guys try one in your notes. Give that one a shot in your notes quick. Let's see how you're doing so far. So we've got the big parentheses here. Inside there, of course, we got this set of parentheses. What do we have to do there? 2 minus 8, which is -6. Then what? Well, technically, we're done with that set of parentheses. What's inside there is done. A lot of you would want to do, well, square it. Technically, we need to move on to the next set of parentheses first. The enclosing symbols happen before exponents. 3 minus 5, -2. That set of parentheses is down to a single number. I'm leaving it there because it's a -2, so it's not an enclosing symbol anymore. It's just separating the -2. Next, got another set of parentheses. In there, we have to do 5 times 3, which is 15. And then 2 plus 5 is 17. And then -7, which is 10. That one's down to a single number. It's not negative, and there's nothing going on. So now I can get rid of that parentheses. Do I have to put anything in? No, I don't. So now we're back out to the bigger set of parentheses, the blue box. Now we can do the exponent. -6 squared is 36. What's next? 36 times -2, which is -72. That was plus. I just hit the erase by accident. So then what? Add 10. -72 plus 10. -62. Plus 3. -59. Now let's do this. So now what? So we got 7 times -59, which is well, we're reading this as a positive 7 right now. This is one where it might be easier to change it like this. I'm going to do it both ways. So I'm going to leave that as just minus, and this is a positive 7. And that's going to be, what, 413, negative 413, right? 3 minus a negative 413 is 3 plus 413, or 416. If I read it this way, notice what I did is I took this from being minus 7 to plus the opposite of 7. Negative 7 times negative 59 is a positive 413. Still end up at 416. So it's up to you which way it's easier for you to interpret this. Because it was being multiplied by a negative, this is one of the few times where it might be easier to change that subtraction to plus a negative and multiply it out as a negative. But both of those are equivalent. So for something like this, of course, the command would be given would be to evaluate. Where would we start? Yep, we're going to rewrite it and replace the numbers. Very good. B is going to become what? Negative 13. Minus x is going to become 3. 12 obviously won't change. Minus c is going to be 6 times d will be negative 2, so I'm going to put parentheses around it so it separates out the negative. Plus negative 11. So again, I'm going to put negative 11 in parentheses so it separates it out. So now again, these parentheses that I put in here around my negatives, those are just separators. They're not really enclosing symbols. So now we do have to work inside the parentheses first. What do we have to do first? 6 times negative 2, which is negative 12. Now again, I could treat it like that, or I could have treated it as plus a negative 6 times negative 2. Would work out the same. So, I get rid of the whole dot there. There we go. Still working inside that set of parentheses. What do we have to do next? So subtract. 12 minus the negative 12 is 24. Remember, 12 minus a negative 12 becomes 12 plus a positive 12. What's next? 24 plus negative 11 is 13. Times the negative, or times 3, I guess we'd do. So that's negative 13 minus, what's 3 times 13? 39. And then negative 52. Now if you guys try one in your notes. So evaluate P minus D times the M minus RT minus 7 for P equals -8, D equals -3, M equals -7, R equals -5, and T equals 3. I'll give you a few minutes to try that. Okay, where do we start? So P becomes -8 minus -3 goes in for D. -7 for M. Now I didn't put M in parentheses because it's the first number in there, so it doesn't have to be separated. Minus -5 times 3 minus 7. Okay, so obviously got to start in this parentheses. What do we have to do first? -5 times 3, which is -15. So I'm going to leave that in parentheses to separate it out. And then -7 minus -15, or -7 plus 15, which is 8. There you go. -7 minus a -15 becomes -7 plus a positive 15. So that's -7, positive 15 ends up at positive 8. Then what? 8 minus 7 is 1. I've reduced that to a single number, so I don't need the parentheses anymore, so it's just times 1. And then -3 times 1, which is just -3. And finally, -8 minus a -3 becomes -8 plus a positive 3, which is -5. How many of you had -5? Anybody have any serious questions as to how I got there? Anybody want me to go back over any part of that? Twice in there we came up with that minus and negative, so be careful with those. We might have similar ones with integers. Just something as simple as that. For P equals -4. So I have to do the same thing. I put -4 in for P. But where it's squared here, where there's a power, I have to remember to put it in parentheses. Especially when you put it in the calculator, make sure you put that negative in parentheses to square. Because what is -4 squared? Positive 16. What's next? So you can either treat that as -7 times -4 or 7 times -4. If you wanted to do -7 times -4, you'd have to change it to 16 plus -7 times -4, like that. And that's fine, because now you got -7 times -4 is positive 28, and everything will work out from there. If you left it as a -7, so just 7 times -4, 7 times -4 is -28. Even though that looks very different, this next step is going to give us the same result, because 16 minus a -28 is the same as 16 plus a positive 28, which is 44, right? So either way, we have 44 plus 3, which is 47. So evaluate that one. M squared minus 3D over P minus M. For M is -5, P is 3, or D is 3, and P is -3. Try that one in your notes. So we're going to start out replacing values on top here. I'm just going to pull out the top and do the top. So instead of M squared, it's going to be, well, -5 squared first. It will be 25. So now we can do the -5 squared, which is 25. You're a step ahead of us. That's not a bad thing. Now what do we do? Either do -3 times 3 or 3 times -3. I'm going to leave it as 3 times -3. So it's still minus. 25 minus 9 is 16. Again, if you did it as -3 times 3, you'd have to do it like that. So this is now plus. Either way, we get 16 on top. On bottom now, I'm going to replace P with -3 and M with -5. What is -3 minus -5? That's -3 plus a +5 or 2. So the final result is 8. Good. Yeah.
When it starts out like the top, starting off with -5 squared,
Yep.
always put if it's a negative number in parentheses, does that make a difference?
It does, especially on your calculator. If I type in -5 squared on my calculator, hit equals, it's going to tell me it's -25. Because order of operations, the power happens before the negative sign does. So the calculator is going to square the 5 and then put the negative in front of it. So for a -5 squared, I do have to put the -5 in parentheses and then square it. So now it's squaring the negative along with the 5. Hold on. Try that one in your notes quick. See how you're doing. So let's do the top piece of this first. F minus D plus PM. So what goes in for F? Negative 3. D, 4 plus negative 5 times negative 7. What has to happen first? Negative 5 times negative 7, which is 35. So we have 4 plus 35 is 39. Negative 3 minus 39 is negative 42. On bottom, what has to happen? What do we do? P is negative 5. 2 times negative 3, and that's squared. Of course, plus 1. Then what? Negative 3 squared is 9. And then 2 times 9 is 18. And then negative 5 plus 18, 13. And 13 plus 1, 14. So negative 42 divided by 14, negative 3. Good. It is time for a break, so let's go take a break about 10 minutes. It's 9:20. We'll start back up about 9:30.